Hey guys, welcome to another video. We're going to be taking a look at exercise 5 from my exercises. This is an exercise that is very common in a lot of the IGCSE papers, so you definitely need to be able to answer or cope with a question like this. The question that I'm talking about is this one. It looks like a small one, but in reality, it can get quite challenging. So the first part is quite simple right now, since you've gotten into the mood of creating loops, and it's asking us to enter 5 numbers, and then it's going to output the highest and the lowest number entered. Now to do this, we need quite a few things. We need, let's make a list. So we need a loop to count from 1 to 5. Okay. Then we need a few variables. So variables include a count variable, a highest to keep track of the highest number, a lowest to keep track of the lowest number, and finally we need a variable to just store anything that the user will input. So I'm going to call it a number, like so. Now, every time that we run the loop, we need to update which one was the highest and which one was the lowest. And to do this, we need conditional statements. So basically we need if statements. If the number is greater than the highest, and if the number is less than the lowest. Okay, so this is pretty much everything we need to create this program. Now you might look at it and see he hasn't written much on the screen, so it should be easy, but there's quite a lot to understand in this one. So without any further ado, let's get started on this one. So as always, we begin with the very basics. So we're going to write our structure here as we do always, a begin and an end statement there, and we also need to declare our variables. So the variables what we're going to need is the variable called number, okay, and this is going to be integer. We need a variable for count, so this is also going to be integer. We need a highest, this is also going to be an integer, and we also need a lowest, which is also going to be an integer. So we have a total of 4 variables. I hope I'm not forgetting any. Now the tricky part with these questions, when we're looking for the highest and the lowest values, we need to remember that at the beginning of the program, when we do all of our initializing, when we give our variables some values, the highest we have to give it the lowest possible value, and the lowest we have to give it the highest possible value. Now it's very, very important you remember this. Okay, so I'm going to start by adding my number. So I'm going to give number the value of 0. I'm going to ignore count because I'm going to be using a for loop. We said that highest has to have the smallest number. I'm going to imagine that my user will only use numbers from 0 to 100. Okay, usually the questions will tell you the minimum or the maximum, so you should know. Okay, so if we're taking into mind that the user will only enter numbers from 0 until 100, the highest number should have a value of 0, and the lowest should have a value of 100. Okay, this is very important for you to remember. I repeat. All right. So let's get going with the parts that you guys definitely know how to do. So I'm going to begin my for loop, and I'm going to call the count, and I'm going to say every time the loop starts, count will be equal to 1, and it will reach a maximum of 5. We will do the following, and then we're going to put a begin and an end, like so. Okay, and like in the previous exercises, we're going to be showing how many times we asked the user to enter a number. So we're going to write ln, and we're going to display the number inside count, like so, and then semicolon, quote, full stop, enter a number, like so. And whatever the user enters, we will store by using the readLn command into the variable called number, like so. Okay. Now, I'm going to add a readLn right at the end of my program, somewhere here, just to see if this works. I'm going to compile it, save it as exercise 5, and I'm going to hit execute, and let's see what happens like we always do. So the program's begun, it's already in the loop, so it means that it's done all of this stuff here. It's created these 4 variables, it's initialized these 3 variables, it's given these 3 variables these values. Number has a value of 0, highest has a value of 0, and lowest has a value of 100. Now, then we've moved into the loop, and the loop has given count the value of 1. Okay, this is the first time the loop's running, so the loop is saying the number that's inside count here. Okay, so it should say 1, and then full stop, enter a number. So I'm going to enter the number 100, 55, 66, 13, and 1. Okay, and then the program stops because we haven't asked it to do anything else. But all we know now is that 5 numbers have been stored, and the last value that we have is number. Now, this is the tricky part. Now, this is the time that we need to check whether the number that has been entered is currently the highest or the lowest. Okay, so we need to do that. We need to put a conditional statement in our loop. Okay, because every time a number is being entered, we need to check, is this one the highest or is this one the lowest? Every time. So I'm going to come to this line here, and I'm going to write an if statement, and I'm going to check if the number that's been entered, okay, is greater than whatever's stored in the highest, then I'm going to put a begin and an end for this if statement. Then we need to do something, okay? We need to say that now the highest number, if this is the case, so let's say the user has entered the number 55, okay? So the number 55 is in number now, okay? And we're going to check if 55 is greater than highest. Remember that highest began as 0, okay? So we need to update highest. So we need to say now highest is now equal to whatever was stored in number, like so. Okay, so every time a number is put in, it will go through this check here. Okay, now we also need to check if it's also the smallest number. So in case it's not the highest number, it will go to this statement, and we'll check if the number is less than lowest, then we need to add a begin and a end for this if statement, begin and end, like so. Then we need to update the lowest number now. So let's say, imagine that the user has entered the number 55. Okay, 55 is definitely greater than 0, so the highest now will be equal to 55. But also, we need to check, is 55 less than 100? Yes. So now we need to change the lowest value to 55 as well, like so. Then the loop will begin again, and it will look for the next number. Let's say that the next number is 80. Okay, so currently number is equal to 80. Now we're going to check, is 80 greater than 55, which was the previous number? In this case, yes it is. So the highest now is 80. Then we're also going to check again, is 80 less than 65? In this case, it isn't, so this will be ignored, and it will go over to the top again. Okay? And then, when all of this is finished, we're going to show, by using a write-ln, the highest number was, Okay, and I'm going to leave an extra space, put a single quote, and a comma, and then I'm going to show highest, like so. And I'm also going to have another right ln, and it's going to say the lowest number was, leave an extra space, colon, and we're going to show the lowest. And I'm going to close that, and we're going to run it and see what's going to happen together. Okay, so I'm going to compile, and I'm going to execute, and I'm going to make this bigger so that we can see. The variables have been declared, their values have been initialized, so number is 0, highest is 0, and lowest is 100. Okay, and the loop has begun. We are currently at the first time we're running the loop. That's why we have the number 1 here, because we're showing the value of the loop. And when the loop begins, count is equal to 1. Okay, and I'm going to enter the number 55. Okay, and I'm going to press enter. The moment I press enter, 55 will be stored in number, and then we will check, is 55 bigger than highest, which is 0? If this is the case, then highest now is 55. Okay, and it will continue to check this as well. Is 55 less than lowest? Yes, it is. So then lowest will also be equal to 55. Okay, then I'm going to add the number 10. Okay, now number will become 10, and then 10 will be checked against the highest. Remember that the highest now is 55. Okay, so number is definitely not bigger than 55, so this will be ignored, and we will go to the next if statement. 10 is less than lowest. Is 10 less than 55? Yes, so the lowest now is 10. Okay. Then we're going to add another small number. I'm going to add the number 9. Okay. 9 will be stored here, and 9 will be checked. Is 9 greater than 55, which is the highest? No, so this is ignored. And then we're checking, is 9 less than the lowest, which is 10? Yes, so lowest now is number 9. I'm going to go and add another small number, 6. And it's going to do the following check now. Is 6 greater than 55, which is our highest? No, so this is ignored. And then it goes to check this. Is 6 less than lowest? So 6 is definitely less than 9, which is our lowest number up to now. So now the lowest number will be 6. Okay, now I'm going to add a really big number. I'm going to add 88. Okay, and 88 now is stored in the number. And remember, our highest number up to now, just by looking at these numbers, is 55. So is 88 greater than 55? Yes. So the highest number now is equal to 88. Is 88 less than 6, which is our lowest number? No. So this will be ignored. And then the program will show on one line the highest number was, and it should say 88. And below that, it will say the lowest number was 6. Let's see. Perfect. Awesome. So there's one thing that you need to remember, and you need to make sure you don't get confused. Make sure that you don't write this here. If I do this, it means that, let's say the user entered the number 60. Okay, so 60 will be checked against highest. 60 is greater than 0. Okay, if this is the first time we're running it. Then it's like we're saying, if I leave this here, it means now that number will become 0. Okay, that's why we want to update the highest variable instead of the number variable. If I update this, if I update the number variable, it's like I'm saying, okay, make number have the value of highest, which is 0, which is wrong. Okay, so I'm going to remove this, like so. Okay, And what else do we need to know? Oh yeah, our conditional statement in this problem was happening in the for loop. It was being repeated every time. Since variables can only store one number inside them or one value inside them, this check has to happen continuously. Okay? If I had put this statement, both of these statements, outside of the for loop, the only thing that would happen, it would only check the last number entered. So let's say I entered the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? My output would be the highest number was 5 and the lowest number was 5. Because if all of this was outside of the loop, it would compare the last number I entered with the highest and the lowest once. Okay? Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. I'm looking forward to your questions, guys. Keep on practicing. Keep up the good work. Thanks for watching.